I only saw her a few times a year, holidays, birthdays, family things where we pretended we were just stepsisters. But the truth is, I watched her more closely than I ever admitted. I never planned to come out, until Bethany walked into the room, holding a bottle of wine, and looked at me like she already knew. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment. Thanks so much for watching. I hadn't seen Bethany in more than a year when she walked into the living room, carrying a bottle of red wine and wearing that same look, calm, half-guarded, and a little too knowing. Her hair was bright ginger, long, and full of loose curls that framed her face with effortless softness. It had always been like that, wild in a beautiful way, like she lived somewhere closer to nature than the rest of us. She wore black jeans and a worn gray sweater that slid slightly off one shoulder, the way things do on people who don't try too hard and never have to. "Regina," she said, like it was a normal name, like I wasn't already folding in on myself. "Hey," I managed. Too late. Too soft. She sat on the armrest of the couch across from me, legs crossed, like she belonged there. And maybe she did. Our parents had been married almost 8 years now. Long enough for people to forget we hadn't grown up together. Long enough for us to pretend we were just family. But not long enough for me to unlearn what she made me feel. "Still hate red wine?" she asked, uncorking it anyway. "Still pretending I might stop hating it," I said. She smiled at that, just barely. The living room was full, cousins arguing over card games, my aunt humming in the kitchen, our dad refilling everyone's plates like it was his life's purpose. Holiday noise, distracting enough that no one noticed how we kept watching each other. Not watching in the obvious way, not flirtation, nothing that could be pinned down. Just that quiet awareness, that hum beneath the noise. That, God, I remember you. We didn't talk much during dinner. She sat across from me. Too far, too close. I kept my eyes on my mashed potatoes and tried not to flinch when our knees bumped under the table. "Cold out," someone said. Bethany looked at me. "Remember the snowstorm when the power went out?" I did. We'd lit candles and played cards for hours, and I'd watched the shadows on her face more than the game. I'd barely been 20 then. She was 23. I'd gone to bed that night with my heart thudding like I'd run a marathon. I didn't sleep. Now she was 27. I was 24. And nothing had changed except how good we'd gotten at pretending. That night, after the dishes were done and most of the family had filtered off to bedrooms and guest rooms, I found her in the kitchen, barefoot, sipping wine straight from the glass like she meant it this time. "You always end up here," I said, leaning against the doorframe. "I like the quiet after," she said, "like the house exhales." I nodded. My arms were folded tightly. I wasn't cold, but I felt exposed. She glanced at me. "You still living alone?" I shrugged. "Kind of. I've got a roommate now. She's rarely home." She nodded like she wasn't hurt by that word. Like she wasn't wondering what it meant. Or maybe she was. I didn't ask. I never asked. "And you?" I said. Bethany stared into her wine glass. "No one's serious." The silence after that was heavy, like something sitting in our laps, daring us to speak. "Do you ever think about it?" I asked. I don't know what I meant. I didn't plan it. She looked up. "About what?" I shook my head. "Nothing." But she didn't let it go. She walked toward me, slow, measured, like I was something fragile. "You mean about that summer?" I couldn't breathe. "I don't know." "Because I do," she said. My heart dropped. Just like that. She'd said it out loud. Something we'd never named. Not when we lived under the same roof. Not when we passed in hallways or lingered too long on the same couch. Not when she left. "You do?" I asked, barely a whisper. She nodded. "You were 17. I didn't want to. I didn't think it was right." "I was legal," I said, flinching at how desperate I sounded. "It wasn't about that," she said quietly. "It was about you not being ready." I swallowed. "And now?" She looked at me for a long time. Her eyes were that same unreadable shade, somewhere between hazel and gold and smoke. She stepped closer, close enough to smell the wine on her breath. Coconut shampoo, still, always. "Are you ready now?" The question landed between us like a stone in water. I didn't answer, just stepped forward, inch by inch, until the tips of our toes touched. We weren't sisters. We never had been, really. Just two girls with a shared family and a line we never crossed. Until now. I kissed her. It wasn't practiced or smooth. It wasn't hungry either, just soft, terrified, like the moment before a secret collapses under its own weight. She kissed me back, gently, then with more pressure until our hands found each other's arms, faces, hair. We pulled apart in silence, still breathing each other's breath. "This is real," I whispered. "I know," she said. We slipped into the guest room like thieves, closed the door without latching it, didn't undress, just curled under the blanket like two girls who couldn't keep pretending anymore. Her hand found mine under the covers. "Does it feel wrong?" I asked. "No," she said. "It just feels quiet." I closed my eyes. No one knew we were gay. Not our parents, not our cousins, not even our friends, not really. It wasn't shame, not exactly, just fear of misunderstanding, of being too much, of being them. But in that moment, none of it mattered. We weren't labels, we weren't sisters, we weren't wrong. We were just two women who'd waited too long to stop lying, and we were done waiting. There's something cruel about how easily the world keeps turning when everything inside you changes. The morning after our kiss, we woke up tangled in silence, heartbeats barely slowing. The sun spilled in through the curtains like it had no idea what it had witnessed. Bethany brushed my hand once beneath the blanket before slipping out of bed and back into the day, leaving behind only the imprint of her warmth and the scent of lavender conditioner. No one suspected a thing. That's how it started. The season of us. Quiet, careful, secret. We texted more now, not constantly, but meaningfully. "Still thinking about the guest room? You in that stupid Christmas sweater. I miss it. I keep dreaming in your voice." She'd visit under the excuse of checking in on Mom. I'd take the train to her city, claiming I needed a break from the apartment. We didn't make promises. We didn't say the word dating, but in the space between excuses, we built something. Delicate, hopeful, and terrified of light. I started leaving a toothbrush in her medicine cabinet. She kept one of my scarves by the front door. We weren't brave enough to call it love, but it lived in the way she made tea exactly how I liked it, or how I remembered which side of the bed she preferred. In the playlists we made for each other, in the books passed back and forth with lines underlined that said what we couldn't. In public, we stayed careful. 2 steps apart. Never touching too long. Never leaning in too close. But behind closed doors, her hand on my waist, my lips on her collarbone. Long conversations with our legs tangled beneath throw blankets. The first time she said, "I want this." I didn't respond. I just kissed her and hoped she knew I meant the same. We didn't talk about the family, about the fact that we weren't out to anyone, that we hadn't even come out to ourselves fully until each other. There was too much risk in asking, what happens if they find out? So we didn't. Her city was colder than mine, windier, but I started loving it because she was there. Once, we stayed in a tiny Airbnb above a used bookstore and pretended we were just another couple. I remember watching her brush her teeth and thinking, this could be real. Not just real in secret. I didn't know how long we could keep pretending, but I didn't want to stop. The night things cracked open began with cake. It was Dad's birthday, a big one, 60. Everyone was there. The house was loud with laughter and music and overlapping conversations. Bethany had her hair pulled back in a low bun, and she wore a navy blue dress I'd never seen before. She looked calm, elegant, unreachable. But when our eyes met across the dinner table, something in me shifted. Her lips curved just slightly. I felt it everywhere. After dinner, we ended up in the kitchen, alone for the first time all night. I was rinsing dishes. She leaned beside me, too close. Remember the storm that knocked out power? We had to eat cold spaghetti, she said. I smiled. You hated that spaghetti. I didn't hate the company. I swallowed. Behind us, the dining room was still buzzing. We were technically just two step-siblings clearing plates. Nothing suspicious, nothing wrong, but her hand brushed mine. Deliberate, barely touching. And I froze. Don't, I whispered, not because I didn't want her to, but because I did. Too much. Sorry, she said quietly. Habit. Habit. The word nearly broke me. Later, when most people were outside lighting birthday candles on the patio, Bethany and I sat on the floor of the hallway, hidden between two rooms, like we were teenagers again. Like the rules were different in low light. She was leaning against the wall, eyes closed, wine glass balanced between her knees. Her voice was quieter now. Do you ever think about telling them? I hesitated. Sometimes. Then I think about all the ways it could go wrong. She nodded. Same. I rested my head on my knees. You think they'd be more upset we're gay or that it's each other? Bethany looked at me. Probably the combination. We laughed. It wasn't funny, but it was all we could do. I reached for her hand. And she let me take it. No one was around, or so I thought. The next morning, my cousin Jasmine sent me a text. Hey, were you holding Bethany's hand last night? My stomach dropped. I didn't answer. I didn't even breathe. A few hours later, another cousin asked Bethany in the kitchen, teasing, but not really. So, you two seem close, huh? Bethany played it cool. We've always been close. But the seed was planted, and seeds grow fast in gossip soil. The drive home felt heavier. I rode with Bethany in her car, just the two of us. The silence wasn't comfortable this time. They know, I said eventually. She nodded. I don't want to lie anymore, I said. I don't either, she whispered. But I'm scared. Me too. We stopped at a gas station halfway to her apartment. She bought coffee. I bought gum I didn't need. We stood outside in the cold wind, both of us gripping paper cups like lifelines. Then she looked at me. Do you want this? The question burned. I nodded. More than anything. Bethany took a breath. Then maybe we stop hiding, not all at once, but soon. I didn't say anything, just reached for her hand again. This time, she didn't let go. We tried to act normal. At the summer anniversary party, everything was loud, sunny, and sticky with heat. The backyard was filled with picnic tables and folding chairs. Paper lanterns swung from the tree branches, and kids ran through sprinklers barefoot. My mom was fussing over a potato salad. Bethany was helping hang up string lights like she hadn't been in my bed 3 nights ago. We hadn't told anyone, not because we didn't want to, because we didn't know how. I feel like I'm lying to everyone just by breathing, I whispered to her that morning while brushing my teeth in her bathroom. Bethany, still in bed, watched me with tired eyes. You're not lying, you're surviving. It was meant to comfort me, but it didn't. I wore a white dress I didn't really like because my mom said I looked so grown up in it. Bethany wore linen pants and a dark green shirt with the sleeves rolled up. She looked out of place and effortless, as always. She looked like something I couldn't have. We stayed apart most of the afternoon. I talked with cousins. She helped our dad at the grill, but our eyes kept finding each other, over the watermelon bowl, through the patio door, across lawn chairs and laughter. It wasn't subtle. It wasn't safe. After dessert, I found her alone in the kitchen, organizing cups, avoiding everyone. You okay? I asked. She nodded. Too many people. I stepped in, closed the door behind me. The kitchen was still warm from cooking. The distant buzz of conversation seeped in through the windows, muffled but persistent. She looked at me. I looked at her. And for once, I didn't care about the door, or the windows, or the fact that my uncle could walk in at any moment asking for more ice. I kissed her. I didn't mean to. It just happened. Sudden, certain, inevitable. She kissed me back with relief and fear tangled up in her breath. It was soft, messy, real. And we didn't hear the door swing open. It was Jasmine, again, holding a half-full cup and a stunned expression. She froze. I froze. Bethany backed up like she'd been slapped. No one spoke. Jasmine blinked. Okay, she said slowly. Okay. I didn't see anything. Then she turned and left. Bethany exhaled. Crap. I sat down hard on a kitchen stool. It's over. We're done hiding. We don't have to say anything. She saw us, I said. She saw us kissing. It's not a rumor anymore. Bethany leaned against the counter, her hands trembling. Do you think she'll tell? I looked at her. Wouldn't you? She told. Not cruelly, not loudly, but it spread fast. By sunset, the atmosphere had shifted, like the sky had darkened, even though the sun still hung over the trees. Conversations grew quieter when we walked by. My aunt's smile was tighter. My dad looked confused. My mom wouldn't look at me at all. At one point, my younger cousin came up to me and whispered, Is it true? You and Bethany? I didn't answer. What was I supposed to say? Yes, I'm in love with my stepsister. Yes, I've been lying to all of you for months. Yes, I'm gay. And terrified? I found Bethany sitting alone on the porch swing. She looked out toward the driveway, like she was already planning an escape route. They know, I said. I figured. A long silence stretched between us. I don't regret it, I said. She looked at me finally. Neither do I. I sat beside her, not touching, not yet. They think we're doing this for attention, I said. Or to rebel, or because we're broken. She shook her head. Let them think what they want. But it still hurts, I said. Even if we don't believe it, it still hurts. I know. We didn't cry. Not then. There wasn't room for tears. Just weight. A heaviness that came from being seen for something you weren't ready to show. That night, our parents called us inside. Not yelling, not angry, just quiet. Our dad spoke first. We want to understand, but we're confused. My mom looked pale. Is this a phase? Something that just happened? Bethany answered before I could. No, it's not a phase. I added. We didn't plan this. We didn't even know how to name it at first. But it's real. There were more questions. About timelines. About how long. About whether we'd done anything. We didn't answer those. Bethany said softly, "We never meant to hurt anyone." Our dad's face folded. "You're not hurting us. We just didn't see it coming." "I think," my mom said slowly, "I'm just scared. For you. People can be cruel." I looked at her, and for the first time in years, I saw something that wasn't judgment in her face, just worry. "We've been cruel to ourselves," I said, "for long enough. We didn't stay the night. We packed our things quickly. Separate cars, but not separate anymore." I hugged my mom at the door. She held on longer than expected. "Just be careful," she whispered. "I will," I said. "But I'm not sorry." Bethany drove behind me most of the way home. We didn't talk until we were halfway to the city, parked side by side at a gas station. I rolled down the window. She did too. Neither of us spoke at first, then, "So," she said. "So," I echoed. She leaned her arms on the steering wheel. "You still want this?" I looked at her, tired, wrung out, lips bitten raw from stress. And still, I thought she was the most beautiful thing I'd ever seen. "I don't want it to be a secret anymore," I said. She nodded. "Then let's not make it one." We didn't kiss then. We didn't have to. There was something louder in the quiet between us. Something final, something free. A week later, I changed my relationship status to public. Bethany posted a photo of us holding hands on a park bench. No caption. We didn't need one. Let them talk. Let them guess. Let them stare. We'd already survived the hardest part, being true to ourselves and to each other.